Order the. Call order the Board of Directors workshop. July 1st. Roll call.
Bill Olson,
Here.
Kurt Oppenheimer,
Here.
Ryan Parker,
Here.
Charles Kimball,
Here.
Patty Chapel,
Here.
Staff, Kyle Rudman.
Wendy McKay,
Chris Silva.
Alicia Burgess, Sarah Klein,
Rob Courier.
Doug Bear. Rob Roder. And Chad Stokes is also online with us.
Oh,
Afternoon.
that's introductions, Chad.
That's right.
Any,
Do you want to discuss the meeting time now or at the end of the meeting or?
yeah, I guess probably now.
Okay.
We'd like to change July's, our second meeting to the 22nd. A week later is. Yeah, our objection. Is that okay with you, Patty?
Oh, you're on mute, Patty. You're muted.
Why do we want to change it?
Because a couple of us have other commitments, so it'd be hard to.
Well, I kind of have other plans for that. I think we should keep it just the way it is.
What do you, for the 22nd?
No, what do we have it on for now? It's on for the 17th, correct?
15.
The
The
15th.
15th? All right, can't we just keep it there?
Let's go to we go to the 29th.
So the 22nd or 29th.
Whichever.
The 29th might be better. It sounds like Wendy might be out the 22nd.
22nd, my birthday.
It's your birthday.
29th.
29th,
That'll give you.
that's closer. We only have,
Yeah, because we got a break in August until the end of the month, so that'll be better just to have
okay,
things.
that covers a little bit to the 29th.
Okay.
No, I can't. I'm going to Alaska.
Oh, that doesn't work for you.
I'll have to call in from the remote. I can do that. Do they have telephone in Alaska?
Shit, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Is it the third? What is it? Yeah, he's
You can
calling.
you can do. People
I'll let
do
you
it all
know.
the time.
You sure? Doesn't screw your vacation up?
I'm not gonna screw my vacation up.
Okay.
I might be here.
3 hours.
Sure won't be. Yeah, we leave on. Anyway,
The 22nd is probably okay too. Just
I don't really care,
All right.
whatever you guys want to do, either's fine.
And 22nd, 29th.
Patty, what do you want, 22nd or 29th?
Oh, I don't care. You guys decide. Either one will be fine.
Who's got a coin?
So
It's 22nd.
22nd, then, yeah,
22nd it is.
What
Okay.
time?
same time.
same time, yeah.
3 o'clock or 5:30? 3, okay.
Okay,
We'll throw you a birthday at the cake for you.
You do on Lee on my ground.
fair warning, I won't be here if there's a cake when I get
Okay.
here.
All right, fair enough.
Greg, that's it, I'm out. I'm not kidding.
Fair.
We're gonna recess to executive session. Executive sessions held pursuant to ORS 192.6602F, which allows to meet in executive session to consider information or records that are exempt by law from public inspection. Representatives of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience are asked to leave the room. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on any of the deliberations during executive session, except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No decision may be made in executive session. At the end of the executive session, we convene the board work session. It's in the public portion of the agenda. Joint use program.
Okay, and break, no break, we're good?
Oh, yeah,
I'll take a break.
yeah,
Okay.
little break.
5 minutes?
5 minute break.
Okay. Sorry.
I heard that. I'll take it. I'll bet you money.
Yeah, it's not critical. If I don't like it, I send it to you.
Yeah, they're good.
All right, so we have Chris Silva here, who's our staking supervisor and works for Mark, manages the stakers and also the joint use program. He was in this role when he first came to EPA, so very familiar with all the shenanigans that go on out there with people that attach to our employees. I'm actually real excited about the changes that we've made this year, and hope that you are too. So go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, so I, if you don't mind, I'm gonna preface this a little bit, just to give you some context of where we've been and where we are now. And I'm really kind of highlighting Chris and what he's done, because he started off in this program. We hired him in 2019 as a joint use person, saw the need. I think at that time it was like a $5 million-ish grant program that we were seeing. And so it was kind of substantial and needed to get our heads around it. So we started getting the plan together. And then, of course, in typical EPUD fashion, you know, we had other things going on. So we started putting him in through the program to be a staker so we could understand more of that. And then they immediately said, well, you know, instead of focusing on joint use, hey, we're going to put you in on test and treat poles and start taking stuff like that. Also, hey, by the way, he just got hired right after the Snowmageddon. So, hey, you've never done FEMA before, but you're going to do a mitigation plan and figure out. So he did Reservoir Road and
7 FEMA projects.
It's 7 FEMA projects. So once again, joint use kind of takes a back seat, not a big deal. So then in the middle of it, one of our stakers retired, and then the other staker quit. So now we're down to 2 people, and so he gets kind of shoved in trial by fire to be more of a staker. Once again, joint use takes a little back seat. I came on board in 21-ish, 22, and we revamped operations back there, and Chris became our staking engineer tech supervisor. One of the greatest decisions we made, real smart, and I really appreciate everything he does. So just trying to highlight what Chris has done. So finally, we start getting his team built back up again. We got immediately went out, got a joint use person again, but we came with the idea of, once again, you're going to be our joint use person. Think you can kind of manage it, but you're going to also go through the staking program. That was John Pallon. So glad we did that, because once again, we had somebody that retired again. And so now we're back to, you know, him doing kind of as best he can to keep ahead of the joint use, but still trying to keep us in the staking realm too. So, you know, back down to 2 stakers again. And then the comms blew up, right? From 5 million to now 250 million in federal grants. And so then we hired Mike B. Now we're going to put, about right now, we're going to go fully with Mike Bonnets being our joint use person. Really smart, very articulate, I'd say, and good even with contracts. But he took Chris's vision. This is Chris's thing he wanted to implement, just didn't have the time. And now he's got it to fruition. And I just wanted he'll explain where we're at there. But that's kind of the history of how I know we asked for a FTE, and this is where it's going. So really proud of it. Cool.
Yeah,
Thank you, Chris.
pretty good overall. I think the biggest thing with this whole presentation, a lot of this is just recap, right? With a little bit of the new stuff that's going on in the background, just kind of some updates as to where the joint use world is right now. Control slides.
You got it.
Right. Okay,
Let's do the
perfect. So I just want to start kind of at the beginning. So this is kind of our updates, and basically what we're focusing on is taking a proactive approach to it, which was always been something lacking. To what Mark was saying, the joint use staking technician position was always meant to be more or less a staking technician in training, basically. So you come in, you know, a lot of the people coming into this role come from the comm world. I came from the comm world. John Pilon came from the comm world. It was just kind of a natural evolution of having the minimum experience required in order to build on to become a staking technician. But that always, like Mark said, took kind of a backseat to the joint use took a backseat to what the staking was. What we've turned this into is now we've got a joint use specialist, and that specialist role is critical due to the impacts that we saw from the storm. The impacts that we see every single day, which is basically affecting our system reliability overall. So we're trying to get out of that. So basically this position, they're fully responsible for the pole attachments, the PT, the pole transfer tickets, the violations, so on and so forth. But what they do is they work hand in hand with the engineering technician and operations team rather than being that engineering technician role. Mike, Mark was indicating is our new joint use specialist. He's working through with me and Chad and Kyle on updating all of our contracts and agreements. Our 2013 agreements were garbage. They needed a major overhaul, and that's what we're doing. And basically, they're just how do we maintain and preserve the current attachments and make sure that we're collecting the new attachments on our system. It's growing. The role needed to be there in order for us to make the whole program succeed. So basically, we're taking that, if you're proactive, you focus on preparing. If you're reactive, you end up focusing on repairing. And that was the impact that we saw during the storm. And so basically, we didn't have the processes necessary. We were reacting to emergencies as they came up from the comms. The demand was hitting so hard that all you could do was react. We're out of that now. So Mike, pretty cool guy. I know you guys probably will get to meet him in the future. He came to us with 0 joint use experience, 0 utility experience. What he came to us with was military background, defining processes. This guy, he was actually defining and working through the inspections for aerial man lift drones. A pretty outstanding guy. He's proven to be the right guy for the role because he's hit the ground running and we're doing a lot. He's basically now put together multiple tools for us, which right now we're kind of in the defining stages still because we're still in the beginning stages, I would say, of our NISC and trying to understand what it can do for us. We don't want to leverage other tools outside of that. So what we're doing is we're defining some spreadsheets and some survey type stuff as kind of an interim solution until we know more about what NIST can do, but it's setting us up for a lot of success in the future.
That's our enterprise software that you all remember we went with. Yeah.
So basically his training for this position has been a little bit different. Basically, he's taken our agreement, our 2013 agreement, the first copy and iteration from our attorney, and he's married the two up and he said, what can we do better? Right? This guy has a huge amount of contract experience and knowledge. And it was the right time for him to come in and just start there. What does the contract say? Basically what he also did, he comes with a lot of construction background. So he is a general contractor on his own. And so he was able to understand what the impacts of poor construction is. And so marrying that up with our contracts, he's now looking at our construction standards and kind of building blocks on those different pieces. Just trying to think here. So a couple other things that he's doing. I know Mark wanted me to hit on this. The guy, like I said, he's hit the ground running. One day he was clearing 45 tickets a day for joint use, just going site to site. He's using his iPad, which none of us have ever done in the past. And he's basically been able to leverage that engine system, which is our communication with the comms, in a remote setting rather than collecting in the field, coming back and producing it, or basically duplicating records. So he's streamlining a lot of those different aspects for us.
He's doing stuff like a comm will get a violation. We tell them it's a violation, and then just say, there's probably nobody watching the hen house over there. Violation taken care of, clear the ticket. But he goes back out. We never had enough time to do this. Checks the violation. They didn't do a goddamn thing with it. So he goes, nope, denied. Try again. And so now there's the sheriff in town. And like, crap, we're not going to be able to quickly sign off on crap and pull the wool over our eyes.
So a question about that, Mark. So are we gonna put teeth into this if they say that?
That's our contract.
And if what's his name? Mike goes back out, or he identifies it, notifies them, and he goes back out. Actually, if he identifies it's a violation, it should automatically get a fine. I mean, a time of material.
So there's a couple things with that.
If you don't put any teeth to it, they're gonna say, what?
Yeah.
Today was a really good example to how he's handling this. Charter was out doing a new attachment down on Davison Road. And he got word that they were attaching and tensioning pole to pole, which is just not a a standard we wanna follow. They gotta set their down guys and anchors and slack it in the middle and then pull their tension once they're up in the air. Well, he shows up on site and first thing out of his mouth, stop what you're doing, right? And they're like, well,
Put the
who are
wire
you,
down.
you know? But then he explained it all. And they said, well, okay, well, great, we'll see you later. He goes, no, I'll sit here until you do it. And so he sat there, watched them set those down guys and anchors, watched them detension all their strand, put it up the way they needed to, and restrand it. And he said, now you know how to build line.
So
And
according to this, in the board packet, you guys are setting a standard that the contractors that do work on our system sign and agree to these processes.
that's what we're going
Agree to
for.
the fines.
Correct.
Yeah, it's the National Electric Safety Codes and ASC, we all have to follow it, we have a version of that, but it's all kind of the same standard rules, they should know. It's not like this is a surprise to what they're.
These guys they're hired, don't know.
That is one of our goals. Stay on that.
So this whole area, you know, this is a very poorly regulated
Yes.
part of
The Jimbo
the
truck.
business.
What is the original
Bob-
statutory authorization for us to allow them?
Oh, there's
Equipment.
there's state statutes, OARs and rules that get written, but a lot of it comes from the SCC too, where you have to provide access to the communication companies, because there's a big push with rural broadband. And there's limits to what we can do, so you say we wanna have teeth, we all wanna have teeth.
Right.
But there's a process you have to follow where they're not doing something right, you can't just go out there and cut their line or
Right.
fine them. You have to give them 180 days to go fix it and follow up. That's why this has always been so hard, because they have all these safeguards in there for these comms, because there's a push from other parts of the.
I'd say that the benefit for Oregon and a couple other states is we are a reverse preemptive state. And so basically, with that basically is saying that the state of Oregon governs pole attachments or attachments to utility poles or pole owners poles. Without that aspect, the FCC would have full control over it. And the FCC is the Federal Communication Commission. They want communications, they're gonna push it. Some of the things that they're trying to do, the communications don't pay make ready costs. We have basically what's called a shot clock, where we have to make compliance space available within 45 days. If not, guess what? We're gonna attach anyways, whether we've got a violation or not, and it's gonna be you, the utility pole owners issue. So we've got a lot of benefit, and so we have to operate under the state's rules, as well as our contracts and
The
agreements.
one that gets me is they can go without telling us, put something on our pole, do it any way they want, we cannot take it off. If we take it off, we're liable for whatever. Those are in the rules.
Yeah.
Wow. We found 11 of them the other day at $500 a piece that you can find them.
You can fine them 5 times damages or something, but you can't take it off the pole, even if they construct it in a way that's outside code.
So that's where I was, when I first started in this position, as the joint use staking technician, I was learning a lot about those aspects. And so rather than going out and charging these guys sanctions, it's like, okay, you're either gonna pay for this whole brand new pole line, or you're gonna get off and find a new route. You guys have till basically tomorrow to do it. And so that's where we were charging them $100,000, $300,000. I mean, it was just left and right, because it's like, well, it's gonna cost me more. I'm already connected. I can't schedule all those cuts and terminations and section throws in order to make this happen. And so it's easier for them to pay us. Now we've got a brand new pole line on the comms dollar, basically. And so that was some of those wins. Now we're looking at taking it a step further. We're gonna sanction you first. Then we're gonna correct at your cost. Then we're gonna charge you that 15% extra that's allowable per the rules. We didn't have it the time or the understanding of those rules up front. Now we do. And now we're gonna leverage it. And it should change behaviors. And if it doesn't, then you shouldn't be operating, right? But that's always gonna be a struggle.
How much Ziply do we have on our system?
What's that now?
How much is Ziply is on our system?
So 11 polls so far. So it's not a lot.
But
So
bootlegs,
they're all bootleg. We
They're getting in trouble everywhere.
right, exactly. And that was the major concern there. We've heard it from multiple other PUDs. We do have these quarterly meetings with all the other PUDs, and we all tell each other who to watch out for, and they're one of those that we gotta watch out for. We hear about Springfield, and they're stringing wire over fences and in backyard easements, and what's going on, right? And so they reached out to negotiate contracts with us about 3 weeks ago, but this was already a month after they already bootlegged on our polls. And so I've had Mike daily go down to Cottage Grove, see where Zipley's at, and make sure you're collecting them, because that's $500 a poll. But any damages they cause, any violations they create, 100% chargeable for us to correct them. Usually we'll do that via our contractor costs. So we're trying to make big strides into understanding how we can hit these guys better to change their behavior in order to give our ratepayers a more reliable system. And so small strides, it seems like right now, but like I was saying with Mike, we're taking a really proactive approach, and we're defining what that process is, defining what those rules are, so we're not constantly reacting. And so the next slides are kind of some examples of what's going on. So this is basically an example of what our workflow from our 2013 contract looked like. This was very minimal. And so literally you're validating a ticket, you're approving the attachment, and then you're calling it a day. Everybody won, right? It was a matter of about anywhere from 10 to 13 steps. So we look at it now, this is what it's gonna look like. This is not only going to change the way the flow goes, it's gonna give us the opportunity for more visibility to where things are at in their status, as well as the comps. At the same time, what this is gonna do is this is gonna take workload off of our team and put it onto the comps. You want faster attachments? This is what it's gonna take. If we have to move an anchor or a pole for the benefit of you, you're gonna work with that landowner to secure an easement for EPUD in order for us to set an anchor. You don't get it, you're not on those poles, right? So it's just changing out how we're doing things. These guys, they're screaming at us all day, every day, and that we're not moving fast enough. Well, the ball's in your court now. So this is what that updated flow is gonna look like, and basically what that is this is how it's gonna be implemented into the engine system. So the engine system is gonna be acting as a workflow management system. So that way, our joint use specialist can follow it through. Like I said, it's clear visibility for both sides to understand what's going on and where things are at. This example here is Northern Wasco PUD. And it actually, when we put our definition together, we put it together and then we sent it over to Engines, and Engines sent us this back to like, well, this is what Northern Wasco's doing. It's like, okay, we're on the right track, right? And so there's gonna be some major updates to the streamlining of how this is gonna go. So yeah, go for it.
So the software, is that part of NISC?
So Engines is basically a national system that all pole owners and attachees to poles interact. And so we can set up our own, but there's no sense in doing that. We just always poorly leveraged the system because we didn't know enough about it. And that's where Mike came in. He's like, well, you know, we can do this, we can do this. It's like, shoot, no, I didn't know that we could do it. So we're utilizing this as a better tool for us, but this is the common ground, common place for all interaction joint use. This takes it out of phone calls, this takes it out of emails. You've got full tracking history all through this system.
You open tickets and then you can see, we asked you to do this, you responded this way, it's all on there.
And this covers everything. This covers all those transfers and violations and make ready. The system isn't just meant for new pole attachments, so it'll do a lot more than that. So this was just some of the things that Mike has done. Basically, he was working with other PUDs to define what sanctioning looked like, how much we can, when can we do that. And he created spreadsheet templates basically to standardize that language and to simplify the way violations are written up. Working with attorneys, and basically, like I said, he's now remotely utilizing that engine system. This is kind of an example. So part of the hard part with the rules is you have to pull specific information and it has to be replicable every time. Well, you get every new person starting, they all got their own little language. Well, when we're putting together what this template looks like, basically we're pulling all of these codes from a 272-page manual. And so they've got a slack down guy and anchor. I got to flip through that manual and I got to find where it's at, right? Every single time. So what Mike ended up doing was he created this template where on the left here, you're pulling all that information from the right. So these spreadsheets, as new violations are created, they're being added to that spreadsheet, so we're not having to go searching through a book every time. It's organizing them into whether it's a pole violation, an anchor violation, a grounding violation, in order, again, to simplify it. And then this simple write-up, up at the top left here, basically he's pulling those codes, he's putting them in each of these blue boxes, and then it spits out all that verbiage, he copies it, he pastes it into engines. We've got a streamlined write-up that's easier to do, that we're not fudging and modifying as we get new vehicles. And so it's baby steps right now, it's little wins that are gonna pay dividends. The reason this is so important is if we miss one little thing on this, we cannot properly impose sanctions. So if we've got this standardized, now we should be able to do that on a more frequent basis. This is now, again, this is where it goes into, okay, how many days do they have to correct these violations before we can start sanctioning, before we can start correcting? And so this is just more about kind of setting up what that before picture model looks like for establishing that violations. So sanctions, this is kind of an idea, just so you guys are tracking. This is all what's governed by the state of Oregon. Basically sanctions for not having a contract. So just like Ziply did, we can charge him $500 per pole. That's a single instance. Now, sanctions for not having a permit. So let's just say that we have an agreement with Charter and they go attached to our pole. We can do $225 per pole. Sanction for violation of duties. So let's say we sanction them for not having a permit or not having a contract. Okay, well, we can do that one time. But after X time has surpassed and basically they still haven't done it, now we can charge them $200 per pole, right? Now, at the same time, this is where we start talking about the corrections. Now, if we sanction them, we're gonna sanction them that $200, then we're gonna go out and fix it, and we're gonna charge them the actual cost of what it costs us to fix it, including material, labor, contractor costs, and we're gonna tack on 15% for the inconvenience that it costs to us. Okay, so there's multiple aspects for doing this. Now we're happy with all those before efforts are helping us to build up to how can we do this better? How can we do this consistently? Just to give you kind of an example, so engines, everything other than pull attachments over the last 9 years, we've had 1,500 tickets. That's violations, make ready, so on and so forth. That one joint use staking technician was handling. In addition to the 3,500 poles that are being requested for attachment per year. So it became unmanageable. So Mike's efforts in going out and doing the cleanup aspect helps us to get to a point of saying, okay, what do we have that's aged beyond that 180 days where the utility is next to go, and we could potentially start sanctioning immediately, right? Now with that, and I kind of have some examples here. So total potential sanctionable poles and engines, sorry about the table there. It looks like the total number of tickets, so you got 441 pending transfers, and you've got 123 violations that we can immediately do, and that's in a very ugly world of us not doing this on a frequent basis, right? So that already would pay out at $112,000 just in the sanctioning costs. That's through a very messy process. Now, as we start moving forward with these streamlining efforts, that should increase. Again, the goal isn't though to collect these sanctions, it's to change the behaviors in order to provide the reliability to our ratepayers. Questions on that piece of it at all?
I do.
What do you got?
We got 3,000 new attachments. These worst case scenario.
Yep.
We have 52 weeks. What is that? You're gonna have to do about 1.5 inspections an hour, 10 hours a day, nonstop.
100%.
We have enough
We
manpower.
don't have to do all this.
So the whole pole attachment process is 100% paid for. Okay, so from the time the comp submits an application to the time that we final inspect it, it's 100% paid for by the comps. That is our opportunity for contracting. So it's apparent that, and I'll show you on, it's probably this slide right here, and I'll kind of go into this. with all of the current demand due to the grants, right? So we went from 5 million in 2019 to about 250 million in 2025.
That's federal grants are going to the
Yep.
companies to put this stuff up.
Yep. So what
59,000 was the last one.
Right. So what happens, and you'll look at that here, you'll see this trend year over year. So 2015 started light, and then it goes up to 17, 18, and then it ramps back down. These guys, what they do is, the comms are typically in a contract type model as well. Okay, well, they've got 5 years to spend this money in order to be eligible for the grants. So they're working on getting these contractors on board, and suddenly those last 2 years of their grant round, we see heavy hits, 17 and 18, heavy hits, 19 is ramping back down. So now 2023, 2024, look at how much that just exploded, right? So we're seeing that same trend year over year. Well, what's gonna happen, which is kind of unique this go round, is we have one grant round that expires in 2025 and one that expires in 2028. So we're gonna have a very small downshift before we ramp right back up on the number of attachments. Part of the hard part and the risk is how many people do we bring on board with this constant ebb and flow of knowing what that looks like. That's our opportunity to contract. And that's what we've been using Higher Ground for. It's 100% paid for by the comms and reimbursed.
That's the reason I asked that.
Yep.
Mike's a great guy, I've never met him, but it sounds like he's a go-getter.
Yep.
Can he do it with that kind of workload? You're gonna have, I mean.
That's the question.
The guy goes on vacation.
We're capped by how much we actually have to do, right? There are a state rule that says.
So, yeah, so basically there's what's called the threshold number of polls, okay? And so when the comm submits a poll attachment application to us, basically it's 1/10 of 1% of our system. So it basically equates to about 30 polls. That's 30 polls in a month time frame. So if the comms submit more than 30 polls, you're at our liberty to wait.
Gotcha.
They'll complain.
They're gonna complain.
Raise a fuss, but
Yes.
the state limits, because they understand the workload
Okay.
issue.
Yeah.
There's only so much we can do.
Be interesting to see if the $200 sanction gets come out of that federal grant. Doesn't come out of
Yes.
his pocket.
So that's another
It
piece
comes
of
down
this
to
too.
federal, right?
Yeah, and so one thing that's always been hard with this model, to your point, is it was unmanageable for one person right off the bat, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, then you're touching this violation this day, all in one day, you're touching 10 violations, 10 transfers, 300 pulls for a pull attachment. What do you bill? Right? How do you track it? Our new pull attachment application process, we're charging an upfront fee of $221 per pull being applied for in order to capture our clerical time, our contractor costs, and our post-inspection costs. That position becomes 100% paid for. Our contractor costs are now 100% paid for. We're not sitting there worrying if the comms are gonna pay us or not.
Perfect.
You're paying it up front. I'm not even looking at it until you do it, right? So it's these little things that we're trying to do based on exactly what you're talking about. But that contract model, it works. Higher Ground has learned, they've grown with us, and their results are getting better and better. What they're gonna be doing is they're gonna be managing a lot of this engines process as it goes through. So they're watching the ticket come in, they're reviewing the steps. Do we have the information that we need? Is it in the format that we need it, for one? As soon as something's not, they're kicking it back. It's taking our time out of it,
Great.
but it's 100% paid for, right? So those are those small wins that we're trying to do. And who knows what's gonna happen with the federal funding anyways. I mean, maybe this all just dies. And I don't.
Did this start from Connect America from
Yes,
Obama?
the Connect America Fund, yeah. And then we hit the rural distribution of fiber, the BEAD program. I can't remember the newest one, his name, but they just keep coming, right? And it's new grant rounds. Let's see here. So what do we got? So this is just kind of giving you guys an idea of that total ticket history. So 2,500 tickets in the last 9 or 10 years. That's everything, including pull attachments, but each one of those tickets don't constitute one pull.
Right.
Right, and so that's the hard piece, is to try to get that data. The comms, they put it in so messy, it's hard to interpret how many pulls there are actually. One, two on it, yeah. So these are basically our wins to date. We've got new tools, right? Mike's working on them. We're still working on improvements as we learn and know more about the NISC system. But these are going to help us to build on increasing those revenue opportunities that we've been missing in the past. Streamline processes. Again, this is where we're gonna reduce costs. It's gonna basically define what the task ownership is, whether it's the comm or us, and things aren't ending up stale. That's typically where we're hitting a lot of the kickback from the senior management on the comm side is, why haven't you reacted to this? It's like, I've been working on it for the last 2 years, right? This is gonna give that visibility. It's gonna reduce our admin overhead, but it'll also help to support the scalability as volume increases or decreases. And it established roles for you put in the contractors and the joint users, so the clear expectations will be there. The updated agreements are really the bread and butter of all of this. We've put a huge amount of time in making sure that we're putting our best foot forward. We're gonna go into negotiations that we'll win some, we'll lose some, I'm sure. But ultimately, what we're moving on from in 2013 is gonna be a world of difference. Cleaning up the system is not only the external system, but our internal systems is gonna be critical. It's a lot of wasted manpower on trying to figure out what is where, and what's in what status. And so Mike, I talked about that 45 tickets that he did in one day. He's already cleaned up 1,500 individual tickets, and that's in the 3 months that he's been here, while identifying all those tools, while hammering the comps. The guy's just taking the bull by the horns. So let's see. So future goals, basically we're gonna continue to make efforts in updating those workflows, whether it's in engines and or our internal systems. We're gonna begin sanctioning. That's, like I said, it's something we haven't done in the past because of time. We're gonna terminate and renegotiate our contracts with all of the joint users. We're gonna be focusing on the Ziply one and some other ones right off the bat. But eventually we're gonna be terminating and renegotiating all of those. And just as a heads up, those only last for 5 years at a time. Once that 5 years is up, it's basically retroactive year over year. And so it'll just keep going. We're gonna basically create a method to conduct audits during our pull attachment inspections. This is another opportunity where we may be able to leverage our test and treat, where within our contracts, if during the test and treat, they're doing an audit and they find X number of attachments more on our pulls than what you were applied for, you're paying for that entire inspection. So gonna have some wins there. Produce additional tools for inspections and streamlining. That's gonna benefit a lot of the entire company for multiple inspection needs. And one thing that we're not doing anymore is keeping one person siloed into one role. So the entire joint use program is gonna be an entire engineering staking technician team. Where basically these guys are the ones putting together these reconductors and these pole replacements. They should be the ones creating these tickets up front, right? The more information the comms have upfront sooner, whether we've done the job or not, a notification sets a budget on the comms side, so that way we're not waiting for long periods of time. In the past, that's what one of the struggles have always been is we wait to do all the work, then we notify the comms that it's time to transfer. And they sit for 6 months trying to get a budget. Well, I'm notifying you before I even do that project, so you can start securing that budget now. That way those transfers should get done more reasonably. Goals.
They're still hanging on Sears Road by the dump. Me and Scott did that job 2 years before I retired.
You got it.
Like that.
Are they paying us in a timely manner?
And I have not seen a single comm that has defaulted yet. I would say that there's probably some delays in our annual billing for a couple of them, which we're currently working on. But make ready, no issues. They want to get going. They know we're not going to do it until they pay for it. What else? So the pole attachments, 90% of our joint users, they're paying their annual fees for rental space on time as those rates adjust. What we might find out of this model is that there's 2 different rates that we can charge. There's a compliant rate and a non-compliant rate. It may come down to it where all of our comms are non-compliant based on the conditions of violating duties, because now we've got a better process to handle it. It's about $5 per pole more, or per attachment. But it all adds up, $500 over 20,000. attachments, you're up like 100,000?
Oh.
Can't do that off the top of my head,
Little
but
one.
yeah, somewhere there. So, yeah.
I
What do
don't
you
have a
got?
question, I have a comment. I like the time that Mike spent staying there, so they did it right.
Yeah.
Over my career, our crews, and there's turnover too,
Yeah.
so you learn that just doing it right is no more expensive than go back and fixing something.
Yeah.
So I think the time he spent making sure
Yeah.
at least that crew
Right.
knows what to do now.
Right.
Now, when two more guys, they get off down by the Plain County Jail to work on the crew, they won't. So
Right.
it's a never ending process, but
Yes.
once, hopefully these com
So,
companies.
yeah, to that piece of it, you know, the when he told them this, they say, well, we don't know the rules in Oregon. It's like, this is line construction 101.
Right.
So what you're learning from me right now is gonna apply across the board, across the nation. And so hopefully what that does is him sitting there, they're gonna be like, crap, I don't wanna do this again, right? Do it right. And hopefully it'll help to change those behaviors with others too. And so we're seeing so many of these new contractors, it's hard to keep up. Any other
All right,
questions?
well, that's good stuff, Chris. So yeah, lots of progress here in the first few months of this new position. We're excited.
Only took ripping the whole system down with ice to get attention to it. It's
That's-
been a problem forever.
That's
Then we
been,
get a progress update next summer.
Yeah. Well,
It's been a problem
the
forever.
the damages during the ice storm have been part of our conversations as we negotiate these new contracts. So we are using that to the extent that we can to add some urgency to this, because we did send a letter that threatened legal action, and that's still hanging out there. So we're trying to follow up on that if we need to. Well, thank you, Chris. Yeah, great work.
Appreciate all your effort.
Yeah.
Yes, getting there.
Don't be burning my job.
I'm off, yes.
All right. Yeah, we'll get Mike over some days.
Yes, we'll do.
All right.
Okay, board.
All right, two more quick items here. Also, board policy manual, I sent in the packet the two changes that we heard about. So the first one I think is self-explanatory. It was just taking out this second sentence around expense reimbursement for local community service civic meetings. There was some conflicting language here about allowing certain reimbursement based on district needs and remaining budget. So we're just taking that out. So assuming everybody's good with that. The second one was a new section. There was discussion around alcohol consumption. Chad put this language together, so wanted to, before we brought it back for a vote, see if there was consensus around this, if we wanted changes, you know, for policy going forward.
I think it's really well stated. Because it leaves flexibility.
We tried to, so we did toy with the idea that we want to prohibit alcohol at certain events. It gets to be very difficult to draw a line and say that you know, at a chamber dinner we don't want to, but if it's a conference, you know, happy hour or something, you get into some pretty tough territory there. So not that we can't do it, but Chad's recommendation was just to kind of tie it to the code of conduct.
I had a question on the second part of that.
The transportation, yeah, that was the other piece we
As
talked about.
such, the district shall provide transportation. That's a pretty strong.
Well, we could say if requested or
I don't know how to-
Something in there that says request.
make available. So we have a recent example. So we just had an employee event at the M's game.
I just saw
Yeah.
somebody drinking a beer there.
Oh, really?
That's an
Oh, it wasn't
employee.
me. It was okay. Well, we offered a voucher. So if you wanted to, you could take a Uber home from the event.
Yeah, well, that
You
might
could
be.
pay for it.
Yeah.
So.
It's against federal law to go to a baseball game and not have a beer.
I was just saying, what
Yeah.
country are you from?
So
Yeah, you might want, he's right though.
yeah,
The district shall, I think you should make
I agree, that's a little hard.
make it available or reimbursable.
well, I like the making available because then it's
That might work.
Yeah, but that would be up to the director to go out and get it.
we could have the options out there and remind everybody from time to time what they are. If you plan on this, here's a voucher that we think that it's good.
Sure.
There's some new tools that make this easier than it used to be. You have to call a cab and arrange that. Now you can just do it all through an app. And at least we've kind of covered our bases and give people the option. We can play with that language and get something that works.
I was gonna ask one more thing since we're talking about board policy. I listened to Kurt's slides and that lady about wearing a tire that has E-Pud on it. And I talked to a couple of people in a HUDA meeting I went to, a couple of board of directors, and they do offer, it's like $157 a year to get a stipend for a shirt. I'm not saying we put it in there, but can we just go get some kind of tire that says, like Kurt could say, have something that says E-Pud on the front of it? Or
Yeah,
For what purpose? We went to
go to the meetings.
outside meetings, you mean?
Yeah.
that was APPA. You were talking to somebody.
Just that speaker there, she said that, so. Just like if, I don't know about board members, but it makes, other people think you know something.
Oh, yeah. Right.
That's the basic.
Sure.
And those two things of, like, staff members,
Yeah.
if they go meet somebody, they got an E-Pud shirt on.
Yeah.
well, It makes a customer think they know,
Sure,
they
yeah.
might know something.
It's like,
And I'll, at
Hope they
that
do.
point, and then to, have somebody would introduce you.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah, it's been kind of ad
It's
hoc
kind
in
of
the
a-
past. We'll do shirt orders and other things, and sometimes we'll involve the board. We could get more.
Oh, I didn't know that. If it's already been taken care of, that's fine.
Well, it's not real formal, so I mean, we could.
I have all sorts of things that he put on, they run line.
it's probably not a bad idea.
Yeah, just make
No, I'd
it.
like a nice polo shirt. Local
Yeah.
tractor salesman, everybody wearing logos, you know, I mean, that's how it is.
Yeah, okay,
To wear
I mean,
that
if
brown
we went-
Caldwell shirt.
I see just like going to Huda, a
sure.
lot of those people have,
Yeah.
the Tillamook has
Yeah,
stuff.
we have a program for employees where they can order it, I think, through a website. So we could
Just
just,
have,
we could have a certain budget for like $100 or something a year.
I guess if we were.
That's not a lot. Couple shirts.
Yeah,
In years past, it's been a long time, the board was offered the opportunity to purchase the E-Pud logo clothing at the time the order was put in, but it was never paid for by the utility. You paid for it yourself.
okay.
That's interesting, yeah, that's,
And we kind of do the same thing with employees unless there's I mean, it's based on business needs. So if you just want to buy a shirt that has HEPA on it, you pay for that yourself. But if you're going out to customers and you want to have something that says, but that.
Or to conventions and things.
Yeah, and this might fall into that category where,
Well, if you go to a city council meeting,
right,
you know, maybe not so much a Huda, because they know it.
Yeah.
If you're gonna go out and reach out to the
Yep.
cities.
okay. Is that something you want to have in policy to?
I don't know, I just brought it up.
Make it more practice?
I don't,
so I was just thinking
We need
of
to codify it, do we?
no,
I'm not clear on what you guys are saying. Are you saying you want E-Pud to buy us a piece of clothing, or we are just going to have the opportunity to purchase it ourselves?
both.
Oh, both, great, swell.
Well, I think definitely the opportunity to buy it, and maybe if there's, what I heard, Patty, is
There's a limit.
if you're going out to a conference, that would be kind of a business function, so it might make sense for EPUD to pay for it, but that's your
Okay.
that's your call.
Or to go golf and that's on you.
Yeah, I like that $100 a year budget or something.
Yeah, we could try it out and see
Yeah.
how that works. I'm still wearing shirts from 3 years ago, so.
an example. So when we awarded a scholarship at Pleasant Hill, Kyle had an E-Pud shirt on, I had a Billy's.
That's right.
So he knew everything and you
Well, I
didn't.
didn't have an E-Pud shirt, I have a
It's a
T-shirt.
Yeah. Well, why don't we,
He knew more, so.
we could try to capture something around that that's not tying our hands, just to say that, you know, the board will
This.
have access to purchase, you know, something or other. We'll look at it and see if it makes sense to put in there. If not, we can just make it available to y'all. That's easy enough to do. We already have an account with these folks.
I've got the link to the company directory, but
What
Okay.
size do you wear?
extra large.
Let's move ahead, guys.
All right.
Because
One more, this is gonna be short too. I just want to give you a real quick recap of last week. So kind of a cool experience. I went up after my NIA meetings. I met with River Partners and the Upper Columbia United Tribes, the UCUT is what they're known as up there. The topic was this phase 2 implementation plan, which is not a great brand, if you're going to call a project something, but it's really interesting. It's a stepwise scientific adaptive approach to test the feasibility of restoring salmon to the Upper Columbia River Basin. Focused on collaboration, cost benefits. So this is looking at the areas above Grand Coulee and Chief Joseph, trying to reintroduce fish in a way that's sustainable. The really notable thing about this is does not include changes to hydropower operations. So they're being very pragmatic, and as a result, public power has been pretty supportive. And River Partners is looking at this as kind of a model project for the whole region where salmon and hydropower can coexist. So just a couple of real quick notes. This is 5 tribes up there. They're really trying to be pragmatic. They want fish. That's their point. We just want fish. We don't care how it works. If the dams want to stay in, we're good with that. But they're trying to collaborate rather than go to court. It's going to cost, they think, this effort about 176 million. Bonneville has pledged 200 million in a settlement. There was some litigation that was settled, so Bonneville is actually helping to fund this. No operational changes to power, flood management, or irrigation. The initial 20-year project is to look at the feasibility of this. So this is a very long-term plan, but there's a lot of excitement about it. The years 1 to 6 will be on assessment of what it's going to take for survival. And then after that, for years 7 to 20 would be actually building some fish passage, trying to make this something that could actually work. That's the breakdown of cost. This is the Bonneville announcement. I thought I would play just a really quick video to kind of show you. A lot of these are folks that I met with. Let me see, how do I do this? I gotta stop sharing. You got this, you gotta share. I think you have to share first.
Oh.
There you go, share screen. Okay, let me fast forward. So I'm just gonna get to the part about the project. Right here. All right, so that goes on. Well, if you want to watch it, I'll send the link out. But the point of this is I think, a chance to show actual collaboration in a way that doesn't sacrifice hydropower operations or real fish gains. And listen to those folks. It was really interesting to take their approach and kind of contrast it with what we see often, which is confrontation and lawsuits.
So
So
that's directly opposed to what we're getting from the tribes and lower. Basin.
yeah, and these guys kind of stand out for that reason. They're a little bit of a black sheep in terms of environmental community,
Right.
actually working with public power
Getting
here.
all of it.
Yeah, But I think if this is successful, it could really show that there's an opportunity. And anyway, it was really fun to be part of that. About 7 of the River Partners boards met with a lot of the tribe board members. A lot of those were on the video there. So kind of a cool thing to be a part of. You can just see how much it means to them. It was almost like a spiritual thing to listen to what their what this project in particular means. So that's all I had. Just wanted to give you a quick rundown on that. I think that brings us to the end of the meeting.
Any public comment? Public? So July 22nd.
22nd. Yep.
Okay.
All right. Thank you all.
Thanks, Becky.
Thank,